Do you want to know what type of hostel is right for you? Today in this video, I'm going to be sharing the different types of hostels and helping you figure out which one is best for you. Our first type of hostel is a party hostel, and these hostels are usually the most fun. There's usually a bar. The hostels usually put on different social events so you can meet people really easily. They are by far the best hostel if you're looking to meet new people. If you're a solo traveler and you're looking to have a good time, I would definitely recommend a party hostel. Most party hostels are pretty nice. It's not like a typical like old crappy nasty hostel. However, I wouldn't say they're the nicest. They're definitely probably like middle bottom tier as far as quality goes. And it depends hostel from hostel if they're gonna have breakfast in the morning. Some of these party hostels, they do have breakfast, but a lot of them don't. Either way, people in these hostels are looking to have a good time. They're looking to go meet new people, have fun. It's not all young people. I would say most people do range between the ages of like 18, 28, 30. However, I've been to party hostels where there have been older people there, and they're absolutely welcome. So if you're older, don't think you can't go to a party hostel. I think as long as you're there with the right mentality, you'll love party hostels. However, that being said, you'll also not like it if that's not your scene, if you're not looking to party. I've heard so many people at party hostels complain about how it's loud or how there's like drunk people, and it's like that's what you should expect. So if you're going to a party hostel, you need to expect those things, and don't complain about it if you go. Those are things that you have to expect. Yes, there are those downsides. I would say you're gonna have to deal with drunk people. There's gonna be drunk people in your room entering in late at night. It's not always a quiet, good night's sleep. Also, they're often usually loud. There's a bar downstairs most of the time, so there's gonna be people partying, there's music going on. So if you're trying to go to bed early, I would not go to a party hostel. Our second type of hostel, and this is a cheap hostel. And I know you're thinking like, aren't all hostels cheap? And they are, but there's a certain tier of hostels that are like the cheap hostels. They usually have really nasty bathrooms. I've noticed in a lot of them that the lockers are always broken. There seems not to be like lockers working, so things not working. The rooms are usually really big. I would say usually bunk beds are usually 2 bunks. These ones oftentimes have 3 bed bunks. Just the amenities are not that nice. I said the bathrooms aren't nice. It's not really that clean. I would say the worst part about them is they can be a little sketchy sometimes, whether that's the people staying there or if that's the actual location. I've had an absolutely horrible experience in one of these hostels, and I did a little story on that, so I'll link that video in the description below if you want to hear that. But that's the gist of them. They're just not that nice. Things are broken. Oh, and there's not breakfast at these hostels, so don't be expecting a free breakfast if you're staying at a cheap hostel. One misconception people have of these hostels is that they're always in a bad location, and for me this has not been the case. I've stayed at super cheap hostels in great locations. I feel like this goes with every single hostel I list. Some of them can be in good locations, some can be in bad. The location doesn't necessarily dictate what type of hostel it'll be, but just keep in mind, if it is a cheap hostel and it's in a good location, it's probably a pretty big dump. Alright, the third type of hostel, and that is a youth hostel. Now, I would say the biggest difference between these and other types of hostels is the types of guests that stay there. So first of all, these hostels are often really big. They can hold like a couple hundred people. They have really large common areas, a little more upscale, usually pretty nice. But the people who stay there, it's not like just travelers and people who are backpacking. It's oftentimes more school trips. I've been at one where there was like a couple schools staying there. They were on like a week-long little school trip, and there was like counselors and a bunch of like 14 through 15-year-olds. I've also met people at these hostels who are staying there for like a really long time. I met someone who they were going to school on like a little study abroad, study for like a little part of the summer. They were there for 8 weeks, and they were just staying in this hostel for 8 weeks straight. A lot of hostels, they don't let you stay there for a long time. Like usually 2 weeks is about the maximum you can stay at a hostel, but not with these hostels. They're a lot more friendly to big groups of people staying there for a longer periods of time. And because of that, they are nicer. Aside for the next type of hostel I'm about to talk about, these are usually some of the nicest places. The bathrooms will always be clean. The hostels are pretty clean for the most part. They might have a couple perks. They usually have huge common areas. These are the type of hostels where you'll see things like foosball, ping pong, pool tables, maybe like a big TV in the common area. There will always be breakfast. Oh, one thing about these hostels is a lot of times they serve food. So obviously you have to pay extra for that, but there might be like a little cafeteria area, or you can order food from the bar. That's what I've seen most common, but sometimes these hostels do have food. And like party hostels, these hostels do put on events. So they might have, like a dance night or a game night, or go on a bar crawl, or they might do a little like walking tour one day. There's a whole bunch of different activities. Every hostel's different, every day is different, but they do have a bunch of activities that you can do at these hostels. One last note is if you're a single traveler, these are not the best hostels to stay at, in my opinion. The main reason for that is just because most people there are in groups from what I've seen. As I said, there's a lot of the school groups, stuff like that. So you don't meet as many people, and while they do have those activities, a lot of times the people that are going on them are in a group already, so it's definitely a little bit harder to meet people. Now my fourth type of hostel has a couple different names, but these are your luxury hostels, your little like boutique hostels, your what else do they call them? Design hostels. There's kind of some different names for them, but they're just more fancy upscale hostels. They're really hard to describe. I think the best way to describe these hostels is just to show you a bunch of pictures. So I'm gonna run some pictures right now of different luxury hostels. But as you see, these hostels are really nice. Usually they're kind of unique. I would say the age of people who stay in this hostel are a little bit older, mainly more probably people in their later 20s, 30s, but if you're in your 40s, 50s, totally a hostel you could stay at. I personally, I'm 21 and I've never stayed in one of these hostels. I've seen them and I've wanted to go to them, but you know, they're just a little bit too expensive for me. But I know they pretty much always have breakfast. They also sometimes have food that's pretty regular, a bar, stuff like that. And overall, I'd say there's a pretty big variety. They do have the common rooms. I mean, that's what makes it a hostel, is they have common rooms, but the common rooms are usually a bit smaller in numbers, maybe like 4, 6, 8 beds. On top of that, they also have the most amount of private rooms, so a lot of private rooms in these nice hostels. Just a quick note as I'm going through these hostels, comment down below what your favorite type of hostel is, and also comment if there's any hostels or types of hostels that I've left out. I love engaging with you guys, and I love learning about different types of hostels, so comment down below and I'll be sure to reply. My fifth type of hostel, and it's really hard to put like one word to like fits this description of a hostel, but this is probably like, I would say most hostels fall under this category, and this is the like the homey, like family owned kind of cozy hostel. These are more of your typical hostel, you know, they're not like a chain hostel. They're usually a bit smaller. They usually sleep, I would say, maybe like under 75 people, about I would say maybe like 40 to 75 is a pretty common amount. They usually have a nice little common area, you know, they might have like a little garden. These are the ones that usually have kitchens, so if you want to like make your own food, that's, not only can you cook at a kitchen, but you can meet people while you're at the kitchen. They're not the only type of hostel to have a kitchen, but I would say most commonly these are the ones that have a kitchen. These hostels might have a little area where you can lay back, maybe get on some lounge chair. They're just cozy. They just have that homey vibe. They don't look like a hostel in their common area. It feels more of like a home. If you're ever reading reviews on Hostel World and you see those comments of like, yeah, it felt like home, or like I didn't want to leave, or maybe like the staff was so nice, those are the type of hostels that fit in this category. But I would say this category has the biggest range of hostels, because this is like kind of just like the typical hostel category. However, you have those really good family run ones, and then you have those ones that you know aren't quite as good. So it's really important that you read those reviews when you're looking for a good cozy family run hostel. This sixth type of hostel seems so incredibly awesome to me. I really want to go to one of these, and I think I will in the next year. I just have never stayed in one before, but these are your activity hostels. So what I mean by that is it's usually their location is really close and proximate. Is that the right word? Anyways, they're close to a like common area. So they might be close to like a ski resort or like right to the beach, and the whole hostel focuses on that activity. So it's like kind of like a surfing hostel. Everyone there is going surfing. It could be like snowboarding, skiing, same type of thing. I've heard of like a diving / like snorkeling hostel where it's right on the beach, right next to a great place of cool, I'm all tongue-tied. And most of the people in the hostel, you know, will hop on a boat and they'll all go diving that day. So these hostels do exist, but they're not as common, you know, they're not in every city. And everything they do is really focused on that one common activity. However, that being said, because everyone's doing the same thing, this is a great place to meet new friends, and this is an awesome place to go if you're a solo traveler. There are a couple more hostel types I'd like to address, but these are all really uncommon. I personally never seen these hostels before, I've just heard about them. But one's a family hostel. This is one that really encourages like families, you know, parents with kids to come. I've heard some of them might have curfews. Next type is called a historic hostel. It might be like in a castle or something like that. Next type is called an eco hostel. So they're very like eco-friendly, you know, you kind of help with the hostel, help with the environment while you're there. So these are like the big broad categories of hostels, but many hostels are more of a hybrid between a couple types. Like I'd say the hostel I worked at in Bangkok was kind of a combination of a party hostel and like a homey hostel, you know, with a good family vibe to it. You know, it's a family that likes to have fun. If you'd like to know how to have an awesome time as a solo traveler, meet a bunch of new friends and stuff, check out that video right over there. And if you want to hear about my horrible hostel experience in a cheap hostel, absolute disaster, click right down there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.